Hey guys, Legionnaire Archery here. I've got a piece of vine maple here that I'm thinking of turning into a bow. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to show the process that I go to when I'm planning out a stave. In this particular situation, I have a stave that has a high crown to it. When you have a crown to your stave, it means that it's from a low diameter tree, and this is the crown. And so when you have this particular type of situation, what you want to do is you have pretty much one option where you need to go ahead and flatten or decrown this and pretty much flatten it. So what I was thinking of doing is instead of taking wood from here, since it's already been cut from the middle, I'm just thinking of, I'm gonna plane this side. So if you can see that, I'm just gonna go ahead and plane it because there are some areas here where it kind of, I guess, dug in. And so I'm gonna go ahead and plane this nice and flat with a power planer. And so I'm gonna approach it as if I was making a board bow. It's rather straight, so it will allow me to the piece of wood will allow me to do that. And so unfortunately it does have some problems, like for example, I've got this knot right there in the center. And so when you plan out a bow and you see a knot like this, and there's a few more up and down the stave, you got to be careful with those, because that's where the wood is going to be at its weakest point. Not only that, but they're going to be close to the edges, and so that's another issue when it comes to making bows and having the knots near the edges as well as on the back of the bow, especially when you violate those knots, which means that you just cut through them. When you violate a knot, it increases your chances of the piece of wood breaking. So on that note, I've heard that vine maple is very strong, it's very resilient, it's very good wood to make bows out of. This is gonna be my first bow out of vine maple, my first attempt on a vine maple stave. Hopefully I don't end up breaking it, because I want to end up with a successful bow, and I know I have all these limitations when it comes to the knots, and because it's a less than perfect stave. What I'm gonna do is I am gonna go ahead and try and get at most from this bow 45 pounds, because I have all of those limitations. I do not think that I can get anything more than 45 pounds. If I try and get 50, it's more likely than not going to break. It's gonna shatter and explode. And so I would rather not go through that. And so I'm gonna limit myself to a 45 pound bow. I might even have to come down to 35 in order for it not to break, and possibly even back the back of the bow with some sort of rawhide maybe. I'm not gonna use sinew, even though sinew would probably prevent it from breaking, but I just want to challenge myself a little bit here, and so I'm not using any sinew for this one. I'm only using rawhide if I use anything. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and plane it, and then I'll check back with you guys. Alright, so I went ahead and I planed this side of the stave. So I ended up with something relatively flat. The only area that concerns me is right in there. You can see this. So what I'm thinking, I'm gonna try and see if I can do the cutout of the shape. When you do a cutout of the shape, you want to make sure you follow the you want to make sure you follow the contour of the wood, and its natural curvature. So I'm gonna be following the piece of wood throughout. Sometimes what I do is near the ends you don't really have to follow the contour, because near the ends you won't have as much of a bend as you will in the center. In the center it's imperative that you follow that grain, because if you don't, what's gonna happen is when you bend the piece of wood, it's gonna wanna bend towards the grain, and so that's definitely not good, because it'll either cause the wood to break more likely than not, or it will not shoot appropriately if that happens. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try and cut the shape out, lay it out. I honestly don't think I'm gonna get a very powerful bow out of this. It now feels way too thin. I might have taken a little bit too much wood, and sometimes that happens. I took a little too much, and so unfortunately I don't even think I'm gonna be able to get like a 35-pound bow. It's more likely gonna be like a 25-pound bow, but we'll see. All right, so here's where I'm at so far. I went ahead, I flattened the back of the bow. I also went ahead and cut the contour out of the shape of the bow into the piece, and what I'm doing now is I'm flattening the belly of the bow as much as I can. I don't think I'm gonna get down to that thickness, so I gotta find a way to make sure that I get that as close as possible on both sides. That's what it looks like right now. So you can see it's nice and straight. I'm also gonna have to most likely heat treat this piece and bend it in the opposite direction just to get a little bit of a reflex going. I might do that, or I might just try to straighten it out as much as I can, because as you can see right now it has a deflex going on. So I wanna make sure the piece doesn't have a deflex. I would rather start off with a reflex than make sure I get at least get the piece as straight as possible.